Is a bear chasing me? Oh! Okay. Hey, you have to leave now. You have to leave now. You're supposed to leave! Oh! Goodbye.
What is up everyone, Mad Luigi here, and today I want to preach the good news of the Seamless Co-op mod for Elden Ring. If you don't know, recently a mod called Seamless Co-op was released in beta on Nexus Mods. It allows players to engage in co-op in Elden Ring without the normal limitations of summoning and resummoning. This mod lets you join your friend's game and play continuously until you choose to leave. Dying doesn't disconnect you, killing the area boss doesn't disconnect you, and you can even fast travel altogether. The mod is easy to install and essentially works by having you play in offline mode and disabling anti-cheat. Once downloaded and running, the mod allows players to connect directly to each other peer-to-peer. It doesn't use FromSoft servers, so there should be minimal possibility of getting banned or penalized by FromSoft. But of course, don't solely take my word for it and read for yourself what the mod does on its download page, to make sure that you are okay with using it, and to make sure that you're using it correctly to avoid penalty. But also allow me to say, this mod is an amazing amount of fun. The normal co-op of FromSoftware games achieves a certain feeling, but it's totally different to being able to continually progress through the game with friends in a seamless fashion. And yes, each player can progress normally with the mod. Each player can upgrade weapons, level up stats, and collect loot all from the same world. If you've played other instanced RPGs with a more integrated co-op system, this is pretty similar. Not to mention that the mod is made impressively well. It was only just released in beta, but for a mod of this kind where I would expect a whole host of desync issues, I was amazed by how well everything flowed and by the quality of the mod aspects. From new items to activate the new co-op mode, to integrated animations such as the one to turn PvP on. And here we see another radical change that this mod brings, the ability to continually PvP with your friends. Friendly fire can be turned on or off through a new item, and with the feature you can battle your friends without needing to resummon them, or simply fight through the game world with realistic damage to each other turned on, demanding that you play carefully so as to not kill each other while you fight the monsters of the lands between. And I can't tell you how refreshing it is to be able to play the game with friends and not have to fret with constant resummoning and switching between worlds. I can only speak for myself, but the standard way of multiplayer implementation in these games, while definitely achieving its own kind of experience, can get pretty exhausting when I want to just play continuously with my friends. For those of you who might not have heard the story, the inspiration for the style of multiplayer in FromSoft games came from a personal event in game director Hidetaka Miyazaki's life. According to a Eurogamer article released in the wake of Demon's Souls, the drop-in, drop-out co-op style was inspired by a time when Miyazaki and some others got their cars stuck on a snowy hill. Some strangers in the car behind him helped push his car to get it unstuck and going again. As Miyazaki tells it, "I couldn't stop the car to say thanks to the people who gave me a shove. I'd have just got stuck again if I'd stopped. On the way back home, I wondered whether the last person in the line had made it home, and thought that I would probably never meet the people who had helped me. I thought that maybe if we'd met in another place, we'd become friends, or maybe we'd just fight. You could probably call it a connection of mutual assistance between transient people." This event supposedly created the transient co-op system we find in the Souls games and in Elden Ring, where anonymous players drop in, help you overcome a boss or defeat an invader, or invade you, and then leave just as quickly. The anonymous aid of traditional phantoms is good to create a certain feeling for the player progressing through the world, but it also demands a set of game mechanics that can be pretty frustrating for friends just trying to enjoy the game as a shared experience. Basically, the thing FromSoftware is trying to achieve through their multiplayer is great at delivering an experience like the one Miyazaki had in his snow-stuck car, but it is not tailored to friends trying to consistently co-op together. While there is plenty of discussion that could be had about FromSoft's intentions and game design when it comes to multiplayer, that conversation really only has to be had if we want FromSoft to change how they're doing things. This mod doesn't demand that, it just gives players the opportunity to experience the game in a different way. And at this point, most people using the mod are probably going to be people who have already played through the game, so it isn't changing most people's first experience with the story or the game as a whole. With that in mind, I can't recommend this mod highly enough to anyone who has already played through the game and would like some variation, or to players who would like to play with their friends in a much more seamless and fluid experience. One drawback to note is that because the game is operating in offline mode without connection to FromSoft servers, there are no invasions, which is too bad. And even though there is additional scaling for the enemy health and difficulty, it still has the opportunity to turn pretty easy with multiple people, especially if everyone is riding around on torrent or using OP builds. Fortunately, the mod plays in offline and is compatible with other mods, so extra difficulty can be added if needed through that avenue. You could also opt to always keep PvP on for an extra dosing of difficulty. It's harder to spam kill every enemy if you have to worry about your attacks hitting your fellow Tarnished. This is something I've been having a lot of fun with, so if it seems like a fit for you, I hope it can deliver a similar experience. If you're looking for variety, simple and straightforward fun with friends, or an easily repeatable PvP opportunity like Dark Souls 3's arenas, this mod is a great option. Maybe one day FromSoft will give us some Elden Ring arenas in the Colosseums, maybe through DLC, but until then I'll be PvPing my friends this way, where I only have to wait for them to respawn at a grace before we can fight again. A much more pleasant experience than resummoning and resummoning and resummoning. And as I also said, there's a good discussion to be had about what kinds of changes should be made to the actual multiplayer of Elden Ring, but I'll save that for another video. This one will just be a PSA about a fun alternative. Well, I hope you've enjoyed the video, and be sure to subscribe if you want to see more Elden Ring content on lore, game mechanics, and more. Feel free to talk in the comments about your thoughts on FromSoft multiplayer, whether or not you've used and enjoyed this mod, and what other game mechanics and lore you'd like to see discussed on my channel. You can also share what you think about these videos that are more centered on game mechanics than lore. Most of my stuff is lore, but branching out into these game mechanic videos, I'd be interested to see what people have to say. I'll be away from making videos for a little bit after this one comes out, so there will be some time before I release another lore deep dive. More time for all of you to get your suggestions in the comments. In the meantime, I have a few videos like this one scheduled to release somewhat weekly. Well, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.
All right.